Feel free to start asking questions. Hey, Abdallah. I think that's. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions you have, and I can either try to answer them or find someone who has the answer. Okay, I'll ask. I'll just ask my own questions. Why should you reach? Oh, yeah, there is. Here is the website. So we are making updates right now, but let me share my screen. For now, this is what it looks like. So landing page is this. Sign up here. So you sign up, you're going to see a profile page. We're making updates right now to just focus more on companies that are hiring. So eventually, what you're going to see is squares to show each company. Click into the company, and then you will then see hiring manager contacts. So let's say, I don't know, like NYU software engineering. These are the contacts you see. Then, yeah, AI email is what will then generate an email for you. So this is based on this person's LinkedIn profile. It's based on details from their profile. Yeah, just monitoring chat. Yeah, so we are making updates right now though. So there may be some bugs, but most likely not. Okay, not sure why that is happening. Got to check the backend, but yeah. This is what the website looks like. Right now. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Yeah, that works. Yeah, sometimes it times out. We're fixing that too. So yeah, this is literally it's pretty much ready to send. So let's go back to that person. I think it was Arnav. Yeah, we're making updates like literally right now. But this is the person's strategy and ops lead. Probably knows a bunch of software engineers. Most likely does because he works at Meta. He's been there for a while. So this actually takes parts of this person's profile. It just gives you a starting point. We're obviously trying to make these much better, make them shorter. Yeah, we're just making these changes right now, but this is essentially what you get from clicking AI email for each contact. So these contacts already exist on Reachy, so you can just browse through contacts as a starting point. Another thing you can do in general first you have to know who actually is a hiring manager. So hiring managers so what I mean by hiring manager is someone who has direct power over the hiring process. Typically, a recruiter does not make the final say, doesn't have the final say on who gets hired at a company. It's usually a director, a VP, someone high up who's actually going to be working with the person who's about to get hired on a regular basis. So that's why you have to be targeting directors, engineering managers, VPs, anyone who is senior within the organization. So I would target VP, director, for tech, that is. VP, director of product, director of engineering, engineering manager, knowing all these titles and then searching on LinkedIn for these people. But there is a cap to LinkedIn search. That's the only issue. At a certain point, which I believe is quite soon, you're going to start running into restrictions unless you upgrade to LinkedIn Premium, which is really why we created Reachy in the first place, to allow you to not only have to search, you don't have to search for these people anymore. They're literally going to be shown to you, and you can write to them really quickly with AI email. That's the point of Reachy. I hope that answers your question. That's how else you would look for hiring managers. LinkedIn is really the best source, but of course, with search restrictions, you have to upgrade to premium. And again, premium isn't the most, I guess, affordable for students, which is why we created Reachy. Any other questions? It can be really specific questions. It could be even a specific situation. If not, I'm going to ask my own question. Just trying to make sure I share this live stream link again. So you should still apply to a job. I just suggest you not ask for a referral as the first thing you do. Asking for a referral is basically like going out on the street and asking people for money. It might work, but there's really no reason for them to give you money. Same thing with referrals. Unless you have a very strong reason for why they should refer you. For example, you're like the 0.1% engineer, something like that. You're like one of the best engineers in the world. Maybe then you could get referred. How you want to present yourself in front of these hiring managers is you want to first understand what they need in a potential hire. Why are they hiring? Hiring is about a need. Hiring is about solving a problem. That's why they're willing to fork over money, because they have a problem they can't solve. So they need to hire someone to solve it. Or they just need someone to do the work that's not currently being done. Once you approach that hiring manager to get on a call, then you need to understand why they're hiring specific to their situation. Is the company growing? Is the company scaling? Is the company expanding? Or are the costs to run that company too high and they're looking for someone to reduce those costs? Once you understand what they care about, then you can talk about how your skills and experiences can help the company get to where it needs to go. And then after that, you can just mention that you're looking for a job or looking for an opportunity that allows you to do what you just said the company wanted done. Like, notice how that's completely different to just asking for a referral, which is like sending in your resume and saying, "Hey, can I get referred for this job?" Well, you haven't even talked about what you can offer, and you haven't even asked about what the company needs. So there may probably not be a match because you don't even know what the company needs. For all you know, the company doesn't need someone like you. And it's just also without offering, you need a job from them, not they don't exactly need you. So it's better to offer something first based on your understanding what they need, based on the questions you ask, versus just asking for something upfront without offering something in return. And yeah, something else I wanted to cover was that a lot of jobs aren't really posted. So this is like an example I used in yesterday's stream and I can use again in today's stream. So this company is a startup that recently raised 265 million. So Next Insurance. When a startup raises, it means they're most likely going to be hiring. But I have yet to see, oh, they just started kind of posting these jobs, but I've yet to see a lot of these jobs on public job boards, and I think it's for a reason. Probably have a lot of these jobs not even being posted. I mean, that's not that many jobs for a 265 million raise. So most of these jobs are probably being filled through the networks of people who already work at this company. How you want to target this company is you want to be reaching out to senior people within the company. So you want to be targeting like the CEO, like I don't know, CEO. Not saying you have to do the CEO, but it could be like engineering manager at Next Insurance. So yeah, all these people, you want to be reaching out to these people. Yeah, just reach out to them and then talk about what you can do. But first ask about what they want in a potential hire. Like, well, they've raised all this money. Like, what are they trying to do now? That's a question you have to answer. So another person has joined. I think. Yeah, that's something that we talked about this in yesterday's live stream, but something that seems to be circulating around is that students are telling other students what works, but it's because other students told them what works, but then those students haven't really landed. Getting a referral through a recruiter is the exception. And this is just based on my experiences having helped hire at a fintech startup, and before that, at a rapidly growing blockchain startup that helped co-found Ethereum. The exception to the rule is getting a recruiter to refer you. I'm not saying there are no good recruiters out there. There are a lot of great recruiters who, if you get noticed by them, they might be willing to take a chance on you and really hold your hand through the hiring process. But would you rather get someone who's at the bottom of the recruiting of the hiring hierarchy, or someone who literally makes the final say, the director, the VP. Of course, you would want the person who makes the final say, because once you get them to buy in, then everyone else at the bottom buys in. That's what you should be doing. I know why college, this is just like speculation on my end, but I think college students are told to just submit resumes and cover letters, and they're really just exposed to recruiters, mostly at career fairs. So they think those are the people who have to like you or notice you to get an interview. And while that is true to some extent, the real holders of hiring power aren't the ones who go to career fairs. They're the ones too busy working on something. But then if you reach out and you're one out of 3 people who reach out every week or even every month, and you make a strong case for yourself as to why you can help the company, just doing that, being able to do that once or twice a week is pretty much going to significantly increase your chances of landing a job versus like applying to thousands of jobs and being one out of hundreds of resumes every time you apply. But I get why people think recruiters are extremely important in the process. It's because that's what everyone says, and it's because recruiters are the most visible component of the hiring process. Because they show up at career fairs, they show up at events, they're just always around. So you think, okay, those are the people who will get me into the company. But the real people who have the power aren't even at these events. It's not always the case, but again, at these events, there are like 100 students for like every 5 recruiters or even directors. So what usually happens is you have to wait in line, you have to just spend hours at these events only to get like 5 minutes with these people. So that is not a good use of time. And I'm not saying it's the fault of students. Like I was told the same thing and I did the same thing. What really helped me land opportunities that weren't even publicly advertised was just being in events and places where there were no students, where there were lots of directors and senior people and very few students. That's essentially what you're doing with outreach, because so few people reach out to these directors and VPs. And also remember, there are 40 years worth of alumni. I'm not even talking about non-alumni at this point. There are 40 years worth of these people. So when people say, oh, what if like we run out of hiring manager contacts? Well, you won't, because there are 40 years worth of these people. And it's just like, there's more than enough for you to reach out to. What does the process between submitting? What does the process between submitting your resume and the first interview or OA look like? Application. The process is, again, this is based on my personal experience of helping with hiring. So I was the most junior person on my team. So I ended up with all the resume emails. And I got 1,000 every week. And I was told to pick the ones I liked. And I looked at 10. And it was because I had a full-time job as well that I had to do. So I literally had no time to look at 1,000 resumes every week. So what, for a company that has a formalized recruiting process and system, what probably happens is some piece of technology screens out 95% of resumes. And then the remaining 5%, which is probably like 100 resumes, get the first round interview or like some sort of online assessment. Really depends on the job as well. If it's a widely advertised job, it might get at sought after company, there might be 2,000 applications for that job. And I wouldn't be surprised if only 200 made it to the online assessment. Or maybe not. Some companies do take a more generous approach and get everyone into the online assessment, which I don't understand why that happens. But I guess, again, for them, they want choice. So that's why they get lots of people through the online assessment. That makes sense. But from your perspective as a student, do you want to automatically be one out of hundreds of people who are applying for this job? Because if you submit your resume, you're pretty much saying you do. I'm not saying don't submit your resume, but realize that that is the chances of you standing out are very low. Very low. But if you reach out to the person who literally makes the final say, or the person who knows the person who literally makes the final say, actually make a case for yourself and not just be a piece of paper, then your chances of standing out are much, much higher. Because then it makes sense for the company to then hire someone like you, because you actually made the effort to reach out. You made the effort to care about the company's needs and how you can meet them, not just you just didn't knock on their door and ask for a job. That's what most people are doing, and that's what you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? So research can provide material for follow-on questions. So this is how you want to do research. Okay, going back to that company that we just looked at, they raised 265 million. So to you, that should mean, okay, they're trying to scale a solution to a big problem, because no investor gives that much money for a company that doesn't have a great solution to a problem. So you look into why they did that, why they raised so much money, and what they're about to do next, and then put those details into a message to these hiring managers. Say, congrats on the new raise. I see that you're doing A, B, and C now with this money. A bit about myself. I'm a current student doing this. 3 things I've done, 3 results I produced. Would love to learn more about your work at Next Insurance and where things are going next. And then on that call, really try to understand what problems and challenges they're going to be facing in these next few months or even years. Ask questions like, okay, so I see that you're trying to get Next Insurance from, I don't know, the 5th biggest player in this industry to like the first biggest, like the biggest player in this industry. Okay, I get that. That is the commercial result that you're trying to go for. What steps are you taking now? And they could be like, oh, like we're transitioning, we're building an app, for instance, or we're building a new website, something like that. Then you can be like, oh, that's interesting, because I remember doing this in this internship and I got from here to here. Is this something that you're looking into at Next Insurance? Talking like that will show that you actually care about where the company is going, and also can think about how you can help. I'm not saying that this is, I'm just going to say it. So most people think in terms of, how do I get a job? and then I'm just going to wait for someone to tell me what problems and challenges to solve. That actually makes a manager's life quite stressful, because as a manager, you're not the only person they're managing. There's so many other people they're managing. If you don't do anything until someone tells you what problems and challenges to take on, you are going to be a very stressful employee. So if you flip it around and you're actually looking for ways to help the company, just the effort alone will show that you'd be a great potential hire, because you're so receptive to ways to helping the company, and you're actually inquisitive about the ways to help the company, not just sitting there and waiting for stuff to pop up. You're proactive, you're not reactive. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, it's about building a mindset. None of this was automatically how I thought when I was a student. It was actually a couple of experiences that made me realize that this is what hiring managers cared about. And the first one was so I so when I applied to a corporate law firm, um, I think there were 10 spots for 1,000 plus applications. Um, and I mean, this is again speculation, but I remember them asking me why I should get the job over all these other people who went to like the best schools in the world. And there were piles of resumes everywhere. They asked, like, why should you get the job? And looking back, I think one thing I said that helped show that I can meet their hiring needs, they basically needed someone who would be there in a heartbeat, who would always be around, who would always be on top of things, because we were dealing with cases worth millions and millions of dollars at one of the best corporate law firms in the world. What they needed was someone who'd be there 8 days a week, mentally, not physically, but mentally, who would at a moment's notice show up and deal with a fire with a case. So I gave an example that showed I was that kind of person. And that example was back in the day when I did an internship that required that I wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. And it was a winter internship because I had to get to work at 6 a.m. to make sure everything was prepared for the day. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help the company get to where it needs to go. If that means a case blowing up at like on Saturday and me showing up to help, then I will do it, because I did this, which was wake up at 5 a.m. every like 2 days while maintaining a full course load at NYU and having a bunch of extracurriculars and still maintaining this level of academic standard. I'm not saying I am, maybe you have others who are more qualified than me, but this is what I was able to do. I'm not just saying I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I have done, at least at that time, to the best of my ability, what I thought was going to help the company, even if it meant waking up at 5 a.m. So that is something that you can also apply to a software context. When people say, okay, have you like had experience building products? Have you had experiences with talking to users? You don't even have to say, yes, I do. Just say, I built this from scratch, worked with someone who's non-technical, was able to communicate with this team. And in a matter of months, we got to 1,000 users and helped solve a problem on campus. Just talking in terms of results and what you're able to do, that in itself will help you stand out. because it shows that you actually did something with what you knew. Because a lot of people know a lot of stuff, but they don't actually apply it. You showing you can apply it will show that you are a good addition to the team, because if you can apply skills to producing outcomes, then you can apply skills to producing commercial results. At the end of the day, there are only two things that matter to a company: make money or save money. If you can do either, or show that you can do either or both really, really well, then your chances of getting a job will significantly increase. And I think this goes for any discipline. So yeah. Yeah, any other questions before I end the live stream? I'm going to change my setup eventually too. I have a camera. Just need to connect it to my laptop. I have a microphone. All right, thanks everyone. All right, we'll try to do this every single day. Great, yeah, glad to have you. You're welcome. Yeah, keep me posted on how your job search is going. And I'm happy to look at emails while we're building our email generation to make it more effective. In the meantime, I'm happy to look at emails, and I will also send you a document with some information on how to reach out to hiring managers. All right, thanks everyone.